Optimizing your Performance Max campaigns does not have to be hard at all, but unfortunately right now about 99% of e-commerce store owners have zero idea about how to optimize that Performance Max campaign properly. So in this video, I'm not only going to be showing you one Performance Max campaign within one of my Google Ads accounts, but also show you exactly the steps I'm able to take with this Performance Max campaign to scale it to 4x, 5x, even a 10x ROAS during certain time periods. But before we actually dive into the account, let's start to first of all understand what is going on with Performance Max right now, because unfortunately there's a lot of uncertainties going on with Google Ads, with e-commerce store owners about what is happening with Performance Max, while a lot of smart shopping campaigns, depending on when you're watching this video, have not yet been upgraded to Performance Max. And to kind of clear the doubts, one thing you want to understand is Performance Max campaigns are fully going to be in effect by the end of July. In fact, very soon, a lot of your smart shopping campaigns will automatically disappear and turn into a Performance Max campaign just like that. And whether you really want that to happen or not is a different story. The unfortunate truth is we just have to live with it. But the specific account I'm going to be going over within this video is this Google Ads account right here on my screen, running two Performance Max campaigns, both doing extremely well. But one thing you want to understand is right in the beginning when these campaigns were launched, they were very, very bad, doing nowhere close to what they're doing as of right now. But this is one of my own students' accounts, also associated with my Google Ads marketing agency, Your Marketing. In total, we have done roughly over 5,000 Canadian dollars in sales with just these two campaigns alone. However, the campaigns do run within the United States market only. The first Performance Max campaign running at a 4.16x ROAS, second one running at a 3.29x ROAS. So what I'm going to be doing is showing you exactly how to optimize this first campaign, because it has about 27 sales as of right now and spent close to $1,000. A few key things about this Google Ads account though, just so you know what kind of account we're working with, what this e-commerce brand is, and so forth. This is a full-on general store, not necessarily drop shipping, because a lot of the stuff does get shipped from within the US, but the origins of this store do start with drop shipping. But regardless of what the store type is, this Performance Max campaign optimization strategy is gonna work for you. Second thing with this store is those two Performance Max campaigns that you saw are actually niche-based Performance Max campaigns. And I just recently released a video on exactly how to start launch Performance Max campaigns and all of the stuff related to that, where I go over the specific strategy of how to launch a Performance Max campaign as well. So you might want to check that video out after this one. But both of these campaigns actually just have a handful of products. I think the first campaign has only about 8 to 10 products in total. The second campaign very similar, because again, this is a general store just running these Performance Max campaigns for individual niches within the store. But let's start off talking about the optimization strategy for Performance Max campaigns. First things first, let's look at exactly since what time period this specific campaign has been running. So we actually started this campaign on June 8th. As you can see, that was the first date really when the Performance Max campaign actually started spending any kind of money. And we did get 2 sales in the first 2 days, but then it was not really too consistent after that time period, about June 14th, June 15th. So about a week after, the sales really started to become a little bit more consistent. And of course, there's still a bit of up and down just because Performance Max is brand new for this ad account, and as a whole, Performance Max is completely brand new to Google as well. And what I've seen so far with Performance Max is there is sort of a learning curve Google is currently going through with these campaign types. It's not necessarily as quick as smart shopping, neither is it as quick as standard shopping, but it is getting there. Over time, it's optimizing and it is becoming much more powerful. But our optimization process actually starts with the recommendation section on the left hand side. But no, don't exit out of this video thinking I'm telling you to apply these recommendations, because we actually do the exact opposite. Now, in one of my recent videos, I actually told you that you are supposed to come into the recommendations tab and actually dismiss all of the recommendations that pop up here, because this specific score apparently makes a huge difference as to how optimized your campaign is on the campaign level and what your quality score is at the end of the day. This was something that was told to one of my team members under my Google Ads agency, Your Marketing, by a Google Ads representative. And based on my experience after doing this a handful of times on different ad accounts as well as my own ad accounts, I do see a little bit of a difference in terms of the overall performance, in terms of the overall results. So it doesn't really hurt to just go in and basically dismiss every recommendation which you are not going to be using. So the actual optimization strategy begins right over here. That's exactly what we're gonna do. We're just gonna click dismiss all, and that's really all you have to be doing. Just make sure you dismiss all those that are unnecessary, and if you do want to actually implement some of these, implement it first and then dismiss it. But this should be as close to 100% as possible. And by the way, you want to be optimizing your Performance Max campaign every 14 to 21 days or so, and in some cases, depending on your budget, every 7 days. But do not go below that 7-day period, especially if your Performance Max campaign is running on a low budget like 35 Canadian dollars a day. But once you have done that, let's move on to the asset group section, because this is where the next phase of optimization happens. And again, a key note, make sure to do all of your optimizations on a single day, because if you try to kind of do it daily, it's again the same thing as smart shopping, same thing as standard shopping. You are gonna mess things up, which you don't want to do. So make sure you're optimizing consistently, but not too often, maybe every 7 days, again, as I mentioned earlier, or possibly 14 to 21 days. But on the asset group, you want to be optimizing your assets based on how you kind of structured it. So there are actually two ways to structure your asset groups. Number one way is to actually create a brand new asset group and just have that asset group running without any of these images, any of these headlines, and any of these things in general. This is kind of a bypass to running a Performance Max campaign, where if you don't have any of these assets running at all, once you duplicate a brand new asset, what happens is you're actually running this Performance Max campaign as a smart shopping campaign. So if that is your goal, if you don't want any assets kind of interfering, if you don't want this to be basically run as a Performance Max, but rather as another standard shopping, just go ahead and duplicate this asset group and just click publish on the next step. And do not add any images, do not add any logos, do not add anything when you're creating that brand new asset group from this section. That is one way to kind of play around with the asset group. The second way is to actually provide everything. So in this case, with this account, everything was already provided. As you can see, there's 20 different images, 1 logo, 4 headlines, 4 long headlines, 5 descriptions, etc. And unfortunately with Performance Max, it doesn't necessarily tell you which one is working better than the other. But one way to optimize this, and you want to do this every 14 to 21 days, is to just click on edit assets listing groups. Either works, and what you want to do is you want to kind of go in and you want to edit some of the assets in there. So for example, if you want to kind of edit maybe some of the headlines right over here, as you can see, a lot of these are red, so maybe that is something that can be improved. Maybe you want to edit some of the descriptions, maybe take some of it off. You can actually do this as well, but again, unfortunately, you don't know which one is really working the best. But this is kind of like where the guesswork comes into play. You can maybe even add more of these in if you feel like it. But again, really be only doing this every 14 to 21 days. And you don't necessarily even have to be doing anything on the asset groups level. If you don't want to add anything, you can just let it run. The next kind of optimization happens on the audience signals level. So if we click this pen button right over here, we can see that there are currently certain audience signals chosen. So one optimization strategy you want to be using every 14 to 21 days is just to come in here and maybe add another retargeting audience of some sort within the data section. So as you can see right here, we have already 3 different retargeting audiences chosen, and we are also targeting interest and detailed demographics right over here. So I don't necessarily recommend you add anything here after something's already created, because that is going to be too big of a change and it might necessarily not be a good idea. But you can definitely add in more remarketing audiences if you decide to add something in. This is one way to do optimization, but I do recommend you do this only every 14 to 21 days. Again, just otherwise leave it alone if you're not really sure what to add, because it's better to just let it run and optimize without having to do any extra additions if you're not sure what to do here. But asset group is the second step of the optimization process, where you just go in, you add certain assets, you add certain audience signals every 14 to 21 days if needed. But this brings us to the next portion of optimization, which is the listing groups. Now here, depending on how you have kind of laid it out, what you would be doing here is basically excluding that given product, whatever is not following our metrics, which I'll be going over very shortly. So this is really all that I use this section for, just coming in, clicking on this little green circle and just excluding it if needed. But moving on to extensions, the next optimization step happens right over here. And for this step, you actually want to be doing this every 14 to 21 days again, because all you really need to be doing is either adding in new site link extensions or any of these other extensions that are available here. And I actually recommend every 21 days or so, come in here, maybe add another type of extension. So for example, there's only site link extensions available right now for this specific campaign. What I can do is maybe add some call out extensions. Maybe I can add some call extensions. So maybe if I have a customer service phone number, I can give that a go. I can also add in promotion extension. This is a key one which a lot of people don't use. You want to use this especially if you have some kind of discounts running on your Google Merchant Center, running on your Shopify store, because all this is going to do is boost your conversion rates, boost your sales. So I really recommend you come in and play around with this every 21 days or so. Don't play around with this anything less than that, because the next step of the optimization is what you should be playing around with more often and more frequently, which is every 7 to 14 days. And that is with products. But again, extensions every 21 days or so. Just come in, kind of optimize it based on how you want it to be. If you want to add something, if you want to remove something, that's the only main optimizations you should be doing. Moving on to the product section optimization. This is where the key optimizations happen. And I kind of like to divide the optimization steps within the product optimization phase in 4 different steps. So number 1 phase is going to be the cost. Number 2, conversion value over cost. Number 3 is going to be the cost per purchase. Number 4, CTR. And I'm going to be going over these 4 different steps very shortly, but you want to keep these in mind in the order that I just mentioned, because that's how the optimization happens. So in terms of the optimization period, I like to look at the last 25 to 30 days worth of data, just because with Performance Max, you don't want to take decisions too quickly because it's a full-on algorithm-based campaign time. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna actually change this to just 25 days up to today, and we're gonna start off with the first step, which I mentioned, which is cost. So what I like to do is I like to rank by the cost, and I like to look at which products spend the most amount of money and in descending order. Second step is conversion value over cost. So here is where we look at this column right here. Based on the cost, we like to see what is profitable and what is not profitable, because obviously the number 1 metric we want to be optimizing by is profits. And I'm not going to really go too in depth into how I look at these numbers, what I calculate, all of that stuff, because I've already made videos on that. But the number 1 thing you want to keep in mind is the product profitable or not? So here we already got 4 sales at a 6x ROAS for this product, which is $109. Obviously this is profitable because our profit margin here is above $21. So any sale amount less than that is profitable. So I'm not really going to be optimizing here or do anything here because it's working. Next step is this one right here, $76 spent, 2 sales at a 2.89 ROAS. So this is also profitable for us because we want to be getting a sale around this number right here. So we're not going to be doing anything here. But let's say, for example, this product right here spent $72, 0 sales. So when I'm optimizing this campaign, which is every 7 to 14 days, I will come in and I will look at all of the products which spent over my profit margins with 0 sales. Clearly this one spent over my profit margin. The profit margin here is only about $20 and it already spent $72. So this is not good at all. And it has 0 sales, no cost over conversion, none of those metrics. What I would do, and it's already excluded, but if it was not excluded, I would go into the listing group section and I would exclude this product. Why? Because it is not getting me profitable sales below my average cost per purchase that I want to achieve with this product. So this product immediately gets excluded. And this brings me to the 3rd metric which I look at, which is again cost per conversion. So it is this column right here. Or is this number getting met or not? That is the main question I always ask. But again, if you have 0 sales, then this number most likely will be 0. But if you don't have 0 sales, then there should be a value here. Make sure this value aligns with this number and make sure this is a profitable number right here. So this is the only product that would get excluded here, because right here, these other products, they have not spent enough amount of money. And again, the number 1 metric I'm looking at is, did this product spend over my profit margin without a sale? So in this case, they spent $39 and it got a sale. So while it did spend over my profit margin, there is one specific sale here. So what I would want to happen here is I would want to have 1 sale every $25 spent. So right now it got 1 sale by $39 spent, which matches our criteria of $25 every sale. The next sale should happen before $50 spent. If this crosses $50. It spends about $51, $52, $55, even $60, and it still has one sale, that's when I would go in and exclude this product. But that's the basic metrics I'm looking at right over here. Make sure that my conversion value and the conversion value over cost, meaning the ROAS, is both profitable. Here with this metric, I'm only excluding one product. The fourth metric I had mentioned earlier when it comes to optimization is the CTR metric. So the first thing I like to do is I like to kind of rank it by impression. So I like to make sure I'm looking at only products above 500 impressions. The next thing I like to make sure is that they're actually active and not already excluded, because once you start excluding a lot of these products, it just kind of gets a little bit of a hassle just making your way through these exclusions within the campaign. So what I like to do, again, impressions over 500 and also product status ready to serve, because now what I want to be looking at is the CTR. So any product which has 0 clicks but over 500 impressions, I'm gonna exclude. So this is the product next that I would exclude, because I expect to get at least 1 click every 500 impressions. So there is 1 click here, but 1051 impressions. So what that means with my metric is I need to have 2 clicks by 1000 impressions. This one also does not match that criteria because it's over 1000 impressions with only 1 click. That means I would most likely exclude this product as well. So this one as well, because by 1500 impressions I should already have 3 clicks, and here that is not the case. I only have 2 clicks. So again, this would get excluded as well. So this is the fourth and final metric I'm looking at when it comes to CTR and what I want to actually be excluding. This is the perfect way to make sure your Performance Max campaign is running at full capacity, and to make sure that your e-commerce brand is not just kind of wasting money on these bad products, because not only do you end up wasting money on these bad products, your quality score, because of these bad numbers, these bad CTRs, those above average cost per conversion values, etc., kind of causes it to go down, meaning your quality score will become lower and lower every time Google has to deal with this, and over time it will negatively impact your campaign and make your cost per link clicks and all those other important metrics go up, which is something you don't want to happen. So make sure you're optimizing your campaign, because this is kind of like cleaning up your house. If the campaign were your house, you would need to do daily cleansing within your house to make sure there's no germs in your house, to make sure everybody's healthy and happy. Same thing here. If you don't cleanse your campaign weekly, it's gonna start getting dirty over time, and it's gonna bring down all of the other products within the campaign. So make sure you're kind of cleansing your account, which brings me to the next part of the optimization, which is within the settings section. Now, unfortunately, there's no kinds of bidding that you can control. There's no other types of things really that you can control, like keywords, etc. But what we can control with a Performance Max campaign is the budget and the bidding. Now, obviously, if your Performance Max campaign is doing well, you want to be scaling the budget by about 20% every 7 days or so. That's very self-explanatory. If it's not doing good, decrease it by about 10% every 7 days or so. Next is bidding. So in bidding, there are 2 different types of bidding strategies you can be playing around with. First one, conversion. Second one, conversion value. I highly recommend you actually stick with the second one, which is conversion value, because right now we're actually testing the first one, and it's not really doing too good for this campaign. The results have kind of started to go down a bit, but again, once it optimizes, it should be back in order. But until then, we will have to deal with the fluctuations. Nonetheless, conversion value is the ideal kind of way to go with Performance Max, because you get to set a specific target ROAS. Now, initially, when you start a brand new Performance Max campaign, I recommend you leave this box unchecked for about 20 to 30 days in the beginning. Once you have enough data, then you can go in and set a specific target ROAS based on the average results you're getting in the last 30 days or so. So if, for example, you were getting about 4x ROAS and above, then you can just go in and set here the baseline of a 4x ROAS, meaning 400% as the target ROAS percentage. And in the upcoming 14 days, or every 14 days for that matter, just go in and optimize the campaign and increase this target ROAS or decrease it if you want to scale it even further. But kind of leaving it at one period is the way to go until you start seeing some consistent results and until your entire budget is getting spent fully. But that's really the only optimization you can do within the settings section. And that also kind of ends up completing the overall optimization strategy when it comes to Performance Max campaigns. Now, some closing thoughts. Again, make sure you are very patient with Performance Max campaigns. You do not want to rush things, because again, this is an algorithm-based campaign type. You are not supplying any of your own thoughts, any of your own emotions, feelings, etc. to the campaign. It needs to kind of optimize based on the algorithm. So you need to give it time for it to work properly and to achieve the desired results. But again, optimize every 14 to 21 days. Kind of take it slow, because over time, as it becomes smarter, your results will start to increase as well. But if you're currently doing $30,000 or more in sales with your e-commerce brand and you need some extra help with your Google Ads account, scaling it further, go onto my website at yoromarketing.com and book a free call with me to see how we can possibly work together and make that happen. But if you found any type of value in this video, do me a quick favor and destroy that like button and subscribe if this is the first time you're watching one of my videos, and I will see you in my next video.